Welcome to the epicenter of sports and entertainment. This is The Rude Dog Show. Now, here's your host, Rudy Reyes.
Friday. Very much. We've been 30 minutes of your time today on a wonderful Friday. For some, maybe a little bit cooler than others, and some are living in snow. And I can't tell you how nice it is to actually have a 60-degree day here in the Central Valley, California. Let's get right to it, shall we? Brought to you by Today's California, Today's Canada. And of course, you can find me on every piece of metaverse there is. Take your pick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, all of the above. You can go to TheRudeDogShow.com, where this show will end up airing at the end of the conversation. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Don't forget my wonderful partner in Trophy Case. Go download the app today. They are the one, the only, the one true recruiting app, I think. And you know what? No, I don't think. I know that this is going to be the wave of the future moving forward for scouts, for athletes preparing themselves for the next step in their illustrious career, albeit the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, MLS, and even in tennis, golf. I mean, take your pick, MMA for that matter. Look, if you don't have the app, download it. Go to your app store, or you can go to Google Play Store and download Trophy Case there. Or you can go to trophycase.app and download the app there. Very cool. Great stuff. You have to be in it to win it. You want a trophy in your case? It starts with Trophy Case app. So download the Trophy Case today. Build your profile for everyone to see, because again, it's about the end, not how you start, but it's how you finish. And that is the end. Anyway, welcome to the show. I certainly appreciate you taking your time. Last night in the NBA, the Cavaliers faced off against the Brooklyn Nets. And there must be some chemistry going on here between Dinwiddie and Sharp. It was a slam dunk over the top against the Nets. It just seems to be paying off for the Brooklyn Nets, to be quite honest with you. And when you think about the winners and losers heading into the post conversation about who's benefiting from free agency and who's not benefiting from free agency, this duo seems to be paying off with the elder statesman and Dinwiddie connecting with Sharp. Then the Magic at home against the New York Knicks. Wagner was fouled at the very first period as it expires, beating the buzzer. And it's really interesting because you look at Mo Wagner and you think to yourself, man, was this guy designed to be a part of this organization? He beats the buzzer, moving to the left, driving to the left, and the Magic ultimately beat the Knicks last night. Staying within that game, Sharp, just a very familiar piece in this offensive scheme moving forward. They're not going to make the playoff tournament, unfortunately, or the play-in rather. But it seems more important that looking to the future, this guy is certainly the sharp one inside of the pin, or I should say the sharpest pin inside of the box. And I'll be honest with you. I look at this, I think to myself, man, this guy is going to be the wave of the future for this team. I mean, Sharp just scored for another assist after another assist, scoring on the other end, sending him to the line with an and one. Just fantastic. Just absolutely on point. He's on fire. Markelle Fultz driving the lane, had a no-look pass, and inside the paint. I mean, he must have eyes in back of his head, becoming the willing passer for such an easy transition bucket. We'll stay in the same game as Julius Randle driving the lane on the other end, and he must see the hammer, or maybe he missed the hammer on the side of the hip, but he certainly was able to hammer it down as he dropped it against the Magic, or a lack of defense as part of where the Magics were and were not supposed to be. Hornets were getting ready to be stung, and instead we shift to Tyrus Jones stunning Jonas Valanciunas with probably one of the best blocks I've seen this season. Rejected at the rim a complete wingspan move from a guy who's just so dynamic and showing his dynamic capability um, time and time and time again. He just continues to be one of those guys that just puts up amazing, absolutely amazing types of plays. We're going to stay with the Hornets and the Pelicans, of course, when Ray Murphy found a running lane, or actually, you know what? It was created only because they were had a position defensively, but just decided to take that in as a Hornet stung the Pelicans. I don't know. I guess the Pelicans found themselves asleep in the backcourt. I don't know. But he continues to remind us all that even after an all-star appearance or the slam dunk appearance, that he has the skills and he puts them on display quite frequently when given an opportunity to do so. Going back to Mo Wagner for just a minute, has been fantastic with Orlando this season. I mean, he was a player that he was meant to be, but it wasn't meant to be with the Los Angeles Lakers, who ultimately drafted him. Now, defensively, he just seems to be doing so much and just great off the ball skills as well. He can't be the only guy trying to reestablish this Magic franchise to get back to days when the likes of Shaquille O'Neal, you remember him? Uh, he just finished a stolen pass last night with tons of daylight in front of him, just to score a deuce on the other end. I mean, the guy is just absolutely fantastic for this Magic franchise, and I think it's going to be magical as 2023 and 2024 season continues. Brandon Ingram last night balled out against Charlotte. I mean, just absolutely balled out. He ended with a triple-double, 30 points with no turnovers. He was a one-man wrecking machine, sliding into lane against three guys designed to stop him or prevent the paint from even being a place where you don't want to be. I mean, I understand paint defense, but he just painted those guys driving the lane against the iron. He's just one of those three, he's one of those guys that just knows how to place a hero step when he needs to, how he needs to, and the timing of him to do that nearing the end of the first quarter. It's just fantastic. I love watching him play. And then you look at what happened to Cavaliers LeVert last night. I mean, he's designed to drive the lane. He had people blocking him out and then found his way to an open Isaac Okoro for the wildest finish in the NBA last night, as there were only a handful of teams that were playing. They shocked the Nets at home with a 3-point game winner. Now, those are some of the best plays in the NBA yesterday. Of course, a whole slew of games starting tonight, and we'll go over those in just a minute. But in terms of who will reach the play-in, it's kind of a big question mark for a lot of teams. And of course, if it started today, some teams will find themselves, as you would expect, the likes of the Denver Nuggets, who is the obligatory 1 seed in the Western Conference, whereas the Milwaukee Bucks in the East would be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference as well. So when you look at the playoff picture as it stands, again, if they play today, LA would take on the Pelicans. They're both with the same record, 36-37. Minnesota 37 against Dallas at 36-37. What happened to Dallas? I thought their free agency was good for them. Well, clearly not as good as it probably needs to be, or needed to be rather. Then you look over at Phoenix at 38-34. They slipped and fell from the graces for whatever that's concerned. It has a lot to do with Kevin Durant and the fact that he's not there. So big question marks moving forward for the Suns. And then you have the Clippers, 39-35. And then you have the Sacramento Kings at 43-29. The Kings. Sacramento Kings, not Kings hockey. Sacramento Kings, the NBA basketball team, in the playoffs, in the Western Conference. It's mind-blowing, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't believe that Sacramento would find a way in it. But look, you have Mike Brown, possibly coach of the year. Depends on what happens. Depends on how they finish. And then Golden State, man, last year's the defending champions, 38-36, not doing so well this year. I think it's the aging roster. You've seen Iguodala play, certain minutes when Green is not in. And then they'll bring in Jermichael Green, no relation. And then there's Memphis at 45-27, the number 2 seed. And with John Morant back in the lineup after an 8-game suspension, certainly questions whether or not Memphis can sustain that with John Morant. My answer to that is yes. I believe they can. I believe they can find a way to continue their dominance essentially. Move over to the Eastern Conference. You have Cleveland at 47-28. I mean, Cleveland's no stranger to playoff tournaments, and this is not one they should be a stranger in as well. New York Knicks 42-33. They're hanging tough. They're hanging in there. Knickerbockers are certainly getting it done with just everybody. They're playing as a unit. Julius Randle certainly playing a huge part of that, as we had mentioned earlier in my top plays. And then Philadelphia, unbelievable. 76ers, Joel Embiid, possible MVP, defensive MVP. I don't know. That is a big question mark against the Joker, two-time defensive MVP. We're going to find out that when the rubber meets the road in the playoffs, whether or not either one of these guys are going to be in contestment for that specific luxury of being called a defensive player. And I think it's going to be down to voting at the end of the day, to be quite honest with you. I think that when you look at Joel Embiid, when you look at the Joker, both guys just doing fantastic jobs for their squad, just balling out big time. I think Embiid has a slight edge. If there was, those two guys are the ones that are up for it right now. There could be maybe one or two others. But if I was a betting man, I would say Joel Embiid actually snags this. I don't think he's going to come up short this year against the Joker, to be quite honest with you. And interestingly enough, Miami, they're going to have to face off against, Miami and number 6. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. Hoarder is from your area as well, with the Kings finding his way here in the Western Hemisphere. Thanks, Joan. I appreciate that. Yeah, good question, Michael. Kevin Huerter is from your area. He's with the Sacramento Kings, and he's been playing extremely well. I really like the dynamics that he has, and I look forward to quite possibly more of that as the season progresses. And of course, as the years progress, he's a young player, so he definitely has an uphill to him in regards to where that ladder for him is actually going to be, and how good he's going to get. Miami 40-34 face off against Philadelphia. Miami's kind of a hit and miss team. I'm not a huge fan of the inconsistent play from the Miami Heat, to be quite honest with you. And I say that because they either get blown out or they win by a lot. And it's kind of been a hodgepodge this entire season. And whether or not you can say that, Miami's going to get past Philadelphia with Joel Embiid, I don't know. I'd have to take Philadelphia at that. I mean, there are three seed separation between the two. And of course, you always have to find Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all these guys get it done within the Boston Celtics system at 50-23. I mean, they're kind of, I don't know, they're on a planet of their own right about now. I mean, they're playing extremely good ball. I believe they're playing right now. They are live. Now, on the outside, when you look at this from the outside, you think to yourself, man, does Toronto even have a chance? To be honest with you, until 4 days ago, I didn't even know that Toronto was even a part of this. But you have Van Vliet, who certainly knows how to make plays. He's kind of the conduit that just makes things go and make things roll. You have pieces from a championship team. There are only 2 players that are on that squad, but they know how to win. And they're certainly in contention in a play-in tournament at 35-38. And then you have the Chicago Bulls, who, again, another streaky team. They remind me a lot of Miami. I'm not quite sure where Chicago is right about now in regards to, they're playing less than 500 ball, but yet they find themselves in a play-in situation. And I just don't know that they have enough to get past Toronto, who goes on, again, one of those streaks where they just keep winning and not losing. And then you get to the bottom bracket in the Eastern Conference, Brooklyn Nets 39-34 over Atlanta, the 8th seed at 36-37. I thought that coaching was going to do a whole lot more as they acquired a new head coach for the Hawks, but that hasn't been the case. I mean, yeah, fine, they're playing for their play-in lives, and that's great, but are they going to really be able to get past Brooklyn, who just seems to be playing, lights out right now? And of course, all these teams know what's at stake. Some of them lead their own destiny, while others don't. They got to fight through a lot of other teams in order to be part of that conversation, or at least a championship conversation as well. Yesterday, we seen, as I had mentioned earlier, Knicks lost against the Magic. They didn't need that to happen. Hornets lost against the Pelicans, 115-96. Cavaliers, 2-point winners over the Nets with that Okoro 3-point game winner. That was a bomb I didn't see coming. Thunder clearly lost, and dynamically so, against the Clippers, 127-105. And of course, Paul George has been out. He will probably remain out at least until postseason. I guess they're going to have to try to reevaluate his position. Same thing with LeBron James, whether or not he can get back from being injured. That, it's hard to say. I mean, with injuries like the Achilles, or injuries like heels, or plantar fasciitis, things of that nature, really keeps players out of contention. Being able to be on the floor, being able to get things done while being on the floor, and ultimately just not on the floor at all. Sitting on the sidelines wondering if they'll even be healthy enough to get back in. But as I mentioned earlier, New York Knicks find themselves, and it did no favors last night, with a record of 42-33, losing to the Magic. And the Magic right now unofficially eliminated from playoff, the play-in tournament, with a record of 31-43, just below the Wizards at 12 and the Pacers at 11. Cavaliers, current record of 47-28, find themselves playing against the Knicks in the Eastern Conference playoffs in round one. And then the Pelicans are on the bubble, just like the Lakers are, as I mentioned earlier, face off in the play-in tournament, both teams with a record of 36-37. It's interesting to see that Minnesota, and we'll shift gears here, we'll stay in the Western Conference, but focusing on Minnesota right now, which is, I don't know, I think a little mind-blowing, to be honest with you. Karl Anthony Towns gets back in there. They're playing 500 ball now. They won 2 nights ago against the Hawks, and he returned with a much, sweeter feel when the crowd clearly enjoyed having him back. He hadn't played since he injured his calf. He was treated to a very warm welcome by the fans. He contributed heavily the other night against the Hawks, scoring 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5.2 assists, and he's basically 50% from the field. But tonight we're going to see teams that are going to figure out in what way they need to separate themselves, because basketball destiny is either on their side or they're just lucky. Maybe it's skill in the key positions that could ultimately determine who gets into the play-in tournament, and those who are on the outside peeking through a very foggy window. And to give you an idea, Pacers, Celtics playing right now, Pistons, Raptors, Hornets, Mavericks, 76ers, Warriors, Suns, Kings, Spurs, Wizards, Rockets, Grizzlies, Bucks, Jazz, Bulls, Trailblazers, and then you have the Thunder and the Lakers. Now, the Thunder lost last night against the Clippers, and they're playing, I believe, at Crypto.com Arena against the Lakers. Look, the regular season is slowing down just to ramp back up all over again for a play-in tournament, which some would have thought would go away. I believe that when you look at the play-in tournament and the format, and almost like a wild card type, they don't want to call it that, obviously, because that's taken by the NFL. But when you look at this format, it's working for the NBA. It's working for Adam Silver. It's working for the NBA as a whole, collectively, for the teams, for the organizations, and for the fans who want to see more basketball, want to see more playoff basketball. I think it's going to be here for a very long time to come, because for some reason, the season keeps sliding away. And for others, maybe they're looking towards next season already. And you know who you are. Due to a volume of disparities, team chemistry, rebuilding, it can be an ugly term, maybe worth noting. Maybe heading into next year, those teams perhaps, or maybe even next year, it's a silent whisper. Those teams have found a role reversal by becoming the spoiler, are the ones that have now flipped the script on teams that are trying to make the play-in and want to get in to a conference champion conversation. Go to trophycase.app. Make sure you download the app. It's free. Build it. If you build it, they will come. Be a part of it. upload your images, your huddle film, whatever you have. If you're an athlete, you can contact me at RudeDogReyes. Follow me. I'll direct you. I'll assist you any way that I can to get this app. Again, it is free and it's a wonderful tool. I have some of my stuff on there as well. Not that I need it, but maybe I'm the one who needs to be recruited as well. But look, check it out. It's worth doing just that. It could be very viable for your career. And I feel as though if you don't, you're missing out on a very good opportunity to showcase your skill set to get to the next level. Anyway, that's it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate the commentary. Like it, love it, share it. I love that kind of thing. Make sure you go to TheRudeDogShow.com. This show will be loaded there. Go on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel. I don't plug it in often enough, and I don't even do it on Twitter often enough, but I almost live on Twitter. But go to my YouTube channel at The Rude Dog Show. Throw me a subscription, a sub for a sub, or I don't know. Depends on what bread you like. But you check in. I got all kinds of great interviews, great conversations with a lot of fantastic people. Randy Cross, you name it. Cam Hayward. I mean, you got guys that have really cemented themselves into the sports landscape. It's definitely worth checking out. And San Diego or South Dakota, I'm not sure which one that is, Michael. 51, Bama 48 with 8 minutes to go. That's a game I'm going to check out because I think Bama is going to stick around for a minute, but we'll find out in less than 8 minutes from now. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And throw me a follow on Twitter at RudeDogReyes. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great night. I'll see you on Monday.